Hey, what's up guys? This is Neil. Today we're going to learn how to make a website using HTML. This is part 3 of HTML and CSS for Beginners series. And in this video we're going to talk about CSS. What is it, what it's for, and how to use it. So in the previous videos we learned how to make an HTML file with a proper code structure. We also learned how to define HTML elements. The next thing we should learn is how to enhance the appearance of our output. If you guys noticed, our output so far has been looking very plain and very boring. To enhance our output, we need to learn about CSS. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet, and this is where you define the styles of your HTML elements. For example, if you want to change the background color of your web page into blue, or change the text colors into white, you define all of that in CSS. To give you guys a better look, let's open up CodePen in our browser. In CodePen, I have some code that should look familiar to you guys already. Here we just have a simple paragraph element with an image inside it. For the source of the image, I'm just going to use Lorem Pixel, which is a website that generates random images. Now, if we take a closer look at our output, we can see that again, our output looks plain and boring. So let me paste over some CSS code that I prepared earlier, just to quickly show you guys what CSS can do. This is just a basic example, but as you guys can see, our output already looks a lot better than what we had earlier. Now let's take a step back and try to understand how this works. Again, CSS is where you define the styles for your HTML elements. So obviously what we need to do first is tell CSS which element to target. For example, let's say we want to target the paragraph element. So let's type in P and then followed by an opening and closing curly brackets. The P is a targeted element which we call selector in CSS. And the curly brackets, just like in HTML, contains the style for the specified target. Now before we continue, let's try to think first how we want our elements to look like. For me, I want the paragraph to be a bit bigger, and I also want to change its font. For the image, I want to make it smaller and make it circular. So let's go back to our CSS. First, we want the paragraph to be a bit bigger. To do that, we need to define the font size property. For the value, let's say we want to make it 24 pixel. Next, let's change the font itself. For that, we need to define the font family property. How about let's change it to Arial? As you guys can see, our paragraph is now bigger and it looks a lot better. Next up is our image. First, we need to make it smaller. So let's define the width property, make it 100 pixel. And let's define the height as well and also give it 100 pixel. Now let's make our image circular. To do that, we need to define the border radius property, which defines how curved the image's corners should be. Let's put it all the way to 100%. So now our paragraph is bigger and it looks better, while our image is smaller and circular in shape. One last thing I think we should do is make them horizontally centered to each other. So let's define the vertical align property on the image and let's set it to middle. Alright, so now we have our desired output. So to recap, we learned what CSS is, what it's for, and how to use it. We also learned a couple of properties that we can set, such as font size, font family, width, height, border radius, and vertical align. In the next video, we're going to talk about targeting nested elements as selectors. We'll also talk about different ways of defining CSS, such as inline, embedded, and external. But that's it for this video. If you guys want to support the channel, please consider becoming a patron and head over to patreon.com/neilwebtuts. Don't forget to like the video if you liked it. Also subscribe to the channel and click on the notification bell to get updates on future uploads. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.